Speaking of meritocracy and making America great again, what were the Trump administration's very meritocratic national security goblins up to last week?
Well, honey, it was a bad week for meritocracy because the meritorious, obviously qualified members of the Trump administration were on a meritocratic chat group that was encrypted end to end, but not a secured classified information facility, and disclosed in it their plans to bomb Yemen. And they did this while also including in the chat a journalist from The Atlantic. All of this unsecured and on Signal, as one who is meritocratic does.
If you have not read the Atlantic piece on this, you need to do so ASAP. The title is, quote, "The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans," end quote. And it's by Jeffrey Goldberg. The short of it is Goldberg received a connection request over Signal from a user that he identified as Michael Waltz, the national security advisor.
Question, why is Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic in Michael Waltz's phone? Have they talked before?
He seems to have a lot of journalists on his phone. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, there's a key passage. I'll quote from it. At 11:44 a.m., an account labeled Pete Hegseth posted in Signal a team update, and it contained operational details of forthcoming strikes on Yemen, including information about targets, weapons the United States would be deploying, and attack sequencing. End quote.
Earlier in the text chain, they had made sure to declare, quote, "We are currently clean on OPSEC." The bombing plans, revealed they seem to be bombing civilians. Like, they referred to bombing the target girlfriend's building. And the user, Michael Waltz, responds with some emojis like a fist bump, an American flag, and a fire emoji. While Jeffrey Goldberg was in the Signal chat, there was a notable admission, which is the commander-in-chief himself, leading me to wonder, unitary executive theory, like, what? Right? Like, is this now like a Signal group chat theory of the presidency? I wonder.
Well, not only was he absent from the chat, like he seemed like a cipher onto whom they were projecting their deepest desires about bombing Yemen.
Yes.
Like, so JD Vance is like, I'm not really cool on the bombing of Yemen. I don't think the president really understands how this like totally undermines his message on Europe. That's going to go over big at their next one-on-one. Right. And then, you had like they were all trying to figure out like what had POTUS said about the bombing of Yemen. And it was like all over the place. And then Stephen Miller came in and apparently he was the voice of POTUS, or allegedly Stephen Miller came in and he was the voice of POTUS. It was just like an utter shit show to which you could only like, where is the president? Like, is he golfing? What is he doing?
Yeah. And it's not just that Michael Waltz was adding an Atlantic journalist to the Signal chat as an indication that he doesn't know how to use Signal properly. Waltz had also set his disappearing messages on Signal to 4 weeks. 4 weeks, right? Like, this is just
with the
basic
attack
Signal
sequence.
hygiene.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. Come on.
I mean, again, only the best people. Just going to say, I think I've seen better cabinets at IKEA.
IKEA has great cabinets.
They do. This isn't one of them.
In more colors than this cabinet.
This is not a Malm or a Hems.
No.
Anyway, since these guys did such a bang-up job with state secrets and war plans, the administration decided it was time to release yet another executive order. This one entitled Stopping Waste, Fraud, and Abuse by Eliminating Information Silos. And this EO seems designed to allow more people and more entities in the federal government to take a look at your tax returns. And again, just to be clear, this would seem to violate the law, but laws are for suckers. And as a bonus, I think we know that with all of this sensitive data to which all of these federal government employees now have access under this EO, we can be assured that our very important private data will be kept secure. And certainly out of any group chats with Atlantic journalists.
For sure. Because disclosing bombing plans is so utterly indefensible, we wanted to share with you the administration's attempt at a defense, which is White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt tweeted, quote, "The Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans." This was a reference to the fact that the second Atlantic story, which disclosed the actual bombing plans after the administration first tried to deny that they had in fact disclosed the plans at all, had attack plans in the story title, not war plans in the title. Checkmate, libs!
No, forget checkmate.
No.
That's a law school argument. Like, girl, you are a textualist. That is textualism right there. She is her own little textual healer. Good for her.
Indeed. Indeed.
Owned, boomed, lawyered.
Yeah.
Wired also reported that this administration doesn't seem to be super great on all of the public information that they're disclosing. Apparently, Mike Waltz and Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, had their Venmo friends list set to public. They later made them private shortly after Wired asked the White House about it. But according to Wired, quote, experts say it's a counterintelligence nightmare, end quote. And the reason why it's so bad to have your friends list set to public is because it links you to politicians, doctors, tailors, lobbyists, and other people who you're sending money to. And basically, they can cobble together all of your networks. And anyway, bad idea. But because all of these good things tend to come in threes, Der Spiegel also reports that they were able to find, quote, mobile phone numbers, email addresses, and even some passwords belonging to top officials in the Trump administration, including Mike Waltz and Pete Hegseth. What could go wrong?
This is a real fucking banner week for men whose entire personality is complaining that DEI leads to unqualified people holding positions. But back to the OG NatSec disaster, when asked whether Mike Waltz, the national security advisor who was credited with initiating the Signal chat and inviting the journalist to join, had made a major national security breach, the president of these United States had this to say.
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future.
You know what
Hell
this
of a
reminds
job,
me
Brownie.
of? Yes,
Hell
that's
of
exactly
a job, Brownie.
Take it back all the way to 2005. This it had real post-Katrina energy. That is a deep cut for all you Gen Xers in the audience. I just got to say, I am loving this final season of The United States. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really good. Honestly, I have to say, I was waiting for it. It has not yet come, but I think it's inevitable. I was really waiting for one of these clowns to blame this massive security breach on DEI. And this is
Where
how
was
I imagined,
JD Vance?
Right. He's in Greenland. This is how I imagined it would go. George Washington Carver, the famed African-American inventor, used leftover peanuts to create an encrypted end-to-end messaging system that Mike Waltz innocently got sucked into like a mouse on a peanut butter rat trap. And then Mike Waltz decided to use the peanut-based end-to-end encrypted app to transmit sensitive information about bombing targets, which is why we now must use merit-based systems instead of DEI to distribute leftover peanuts. MAGA. That's it. What do you think?
Don't do their work for them, Melissa.
It's inevitable. I mean, I'm sorry George Washington Carver has to be thrown under the bus for this, but and the leftover peanuts too, but it's inevitable.
Yeah. Not going to say I told you so, but I did kind of predict a
You
massive
did.
security breach, albeit for Doge. I thought that those guys, I thought they were going to leave personal info at some strip club during a ketamine bender.
Yours had more White Lotus energy. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
It had more White
Okay.
Lotus
Okay.
energy.
Yeah.
This definitely had Homeland energy.
Homeland / Veep, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah.
Oh, Veep is perfect. Yes.
Right. That's what we've got here.
It's
Speaking
it,
of
yeah.
big balls and Doge are going to serve as our transition to talking about the judicially ordered rather than Doge ordered destruction of the federal government and administrative state as we know it. Because we do have more argument recaps to get to.
Wait.
Sorry.
That's the transition you constructed.
I put together that transition. I'll own it.
Well, you're doing more owning than any of the folks in the Signal chat did. I mean, that's way to take responsibility. Like you're modeling. I like that. You're modeling
Thank
for
you.
them.
Thank you.
You know,
I try.
these folks went up on Capitol Hill and acted like, what's the problem?
What are you talking about? What's the big
Why
deal?
are you so sensitive?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I hurt your
People
feelings.
text bombing plans to
all the
Atlantic
time.
journalists all the time. Yeah.
I'm sorry you can't take a joke. Wasn't that
It's
the energy?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry we were trying to be transparent, right? Now you object to transparency.
I'm sorry we were trying to help innovators by using their apps and publicizing
Right.
them.
Yeah.
Small businesses.
Also loved how they thought it was like a big own to note that the Atlantic had called Signal secure. And it's like, yeah, it's secure, you dolts. That doesn't mean you add Atlantic journalists to your chat, right? That would make it insecure, you freaks.
I also love, like, after we spent probably, I don't know how many thousands, maybe millions of dollars to put skiffs in the homes of these people so they could do their work while
Yes.
they are in their private lives. They're still using publicly available crap that you can download from the Apple Store.
Yeah.
Like, how's that for government waste? Like, give people back Medicaid and cut the skiff budget.